celebration.
So now for the culture shocks that we experienced. So the first one was the smog. So like when you think of China, you think of like all the pollution and the smog and everything. So that's basically what these three pictures here at the top are. It's like the city coated in a layer of gray. But then again, there were also these really nice days that were kind of just like here in Newton. So like blue skies, clear, and sunny too. And it was really great because the weather in Beijing was actually kind of nicer than it is here in Newton. Like it was cold in the winter, but then once it hit around March and April, it started getting like super warm, like 60 degrees in March, and then in April and May it was like 70, 80. So it got super hot really quickly.
Okay, so something we became very familiar with was the Beijing subway system. Now, we knew going into this that the subway was a big part of how they got around due to a lot of traffic and a lot of people, but we never grasped how intricate and incredibly this system ran. There was, I think for us, most of all, it was very important because we all lived pretty far up here, whereas most of the stuff is going on in the first ring right around there. And just to give you some perspective, I lived here, and to get to school, the school was around this area. That took like 45 minutes to an hour. So this is huge, because Beijing is huge, and there were little like offshoots at the end too. But the subway it ran so smoothly, and it was really easy to figure out, and it just became part of our everyday routine very quickly. We're very appreciative.
How familiar are you guys with squatty potties?
No, you skipped 只在王府井买东西呢. You skipped that part.
Okay. Well, we'll briefly talk about Wong Fu Jing again, but I mean, just the shock here is just the fact that we had this very convenient shopping area and this very convenient hangout spot that we didn't know we would have access to otherwise. We had no idea that it was less than a 10-minute walk to the school, from the school. And it just provided us a nice place to hang out after school and to really relax. And it had a mix of both modern aspects, but it also had its own little cultural areas. So it was a really nice spot to chill out.
And we went there like 4 out of 5 days of the week, or at least I did. It was yeah, just as importantly.
It served us well.
Yeah.
But now we get to the real shocker here. The squatty potties. How many of you guys said you were familiar with it? Yeah? Have you guys learned about this, studied this at all in class?
Or you experienced it?
Have you experienced it?
I've used it.
You've experienced it? Ooh. Well, luckily you don't find these in households because that would be insane. But probably 90% of public bathrooms, unless you go to a very modern or very high up place, international places, they will have these lovely squatty potties. And you know, it's just one of those things that yes, we knew of its existence and we tried so hard to be prepared for it, but at the same time, you don't really know what you're getting yourself into until you actually have to squat down and use one of these. So yeah, squatty potties. In this picture, you can see that there are no stalls, but we can vouch that most public bathrooms will have stalls for the squatty potties, so you're not just sitting out there in the open, naked and afraid.
And if your public bathroom does not have stalls, you probably should not be in the area you're in.
Okay? Because even the badder, less the
yeah.
And the smell, and the smell.
I think
And
it was
so bad.
But I think the worst case of the squatty potties was in the school, because you had to toss your tissue paper in the trash barrel behind it, and we all know high schoolers are running to class and they're kind of messy, and so the floor was always a little damp, and you were curious about what that was, and slipping and stuff around, and you gotta try to not breathe that much, but breathe enough to not pass out and land on the rubby floors. So delicate balance there.
Just remember to always have tissues with you because there are no public toilet paper, and do not flush it down. As Ellie was saying, there will be waste bins for you to dispose of the used.
Which makes it smell so lovely.
Oh, hand sanitizer.
Yes.
Quick
Bring
note
hand
doesn't say
sanitizer, like lots of it. And then the driving in Beijing is rough. Like, this is a super, super calm day. Like, weirdly calm. It's like jam-packed with cars and buses and bikers and mopeds and like everything. So, and if you're crossing the street, they're not gonna stop for you. And if you get hit by the car, it's your fault, not theirs. So, Sally has this hierarchy of drivers and people. Would you like to explain?
Yes, it's like the food pyramid for driving. The food chain. Yeah, so it goes, if you're walking, you yield to bikers because bikers can run you over. If you're biking, you yield to mopeders because they're electric and faster. If you're mopeding, you yield to cars because no. And then cars yield to buses because buses are like, basically they drive like ambulances a little bit. They're bowling down the street wherever they want to go, and you better get out of the way or you're gonna be in trouble.
Yeah. And then parking is fun too because they don't really have many rules about that. So like, if you want to go here, there's no shame in parking like right here. And U-turns are okay, right on red, left on red, going through red. Like everything's fine in China as long as you get from point A to point B as fast as you can.
There was, I can speak for many times where my host father, in like there's at a four-way intersection, our restaurant would be here, and he would just pull up around the corner and just park there, like it's right on the curb of the intersection, and he would be like, okay, here we are, time to go eat, but the car is just sitting there on the side of the intersection, so you see that a lot.
And also coming out of train subway stations too. It's a mess. Yeah. So I think lastly, we have, this was kind of something that really was sprung on us that we didn't expect and really appreciated. It was the really kind of unique and natural combination of both traditional Chinese life and modern Chinese life. Like, we can't really understand this being in America because like we're like toddlers compared to China. They have such a long history and they still continue to respect and like acknowledge that every day. Like, for example, this is like a very, very traditional Chinese architecture and amongst other traditional buildings, but inside, you'd be surprised to know, there's like a McDonald's, maybe a KFC, a Forever 21, like, and all these Western and very modern shops. And like over here, that is the Lama Temple that was surrounded by like monks, and there was all these traditional ceremonies going on. Yet right outside, you were back in the city. So it's these two things really, they find a way to coexist in a really interesting and incredible way. So
that's what we have for you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.